these two lovely gentlemen spawning up here in the top corner. He is the terror of Germany. Give it up for der SHOWTIME. And his opponent, he flows like water as he's playing for Team Liquid. Give it up for CLEM. Now, obviously, CLEM is the player to kind of watch SHOWTIME, the old guard versus the new young blood in this young Frenchman. I think, honestly, these guys are very evenly matched. What it's going to come down to is I don't think these guys are going to be able to get any cheeses off versus each other. This is going to come down to just who has the better mechanics, who is better macroing, who's got the micro to take things down. That's the only way you can really look at this one. As SHOWTIME already going to be going for that cybernetics core before the Nexus. That is going to allow him to get up that Adept nice and safely. It's not going to matter too much because CLEM is just going to be going with a new tried and true method. Skipping the Reaper, getting that first Marine, which will allow him to stay safe versus any sort of early game poke of SHOWTIME, sorry. So it looks like SHOWTIME already going to be getting that first sentry to allow him to build up some of that energy. That can be pretty expensive early on gas-wise, so that does take Stargate out of the equation. And yeah, there you go. Twilight Council. Obviously, we're going to have to watch the number of gateways that do go down with this. If there's only 3, that tells me he might want to just play it a little bit more defensively. Stay back, get that blink, stop any sort of drops that are coming his way. But if it's 4, oh Nelly, that's when all hell breaks loose for the Terran player. Because you just got that big, aggressive blink come across the map, looking to kill a CLEM, who, by the way, still doesn't have a factory. He's going for a very convoluted 3cc 2 Rex opening. What? I mean, he's going for pretty much everything, you know? It's like a tasting plate at a restaurant for him. He's like, maybe I want the upgrades, maybe a couple of extra racks, maybe the factory here and there. I have a little bit of a taste for tech units. Even just getting that stim very early on will allow him to be aggressive versus SHOWTIME, who is just kind of prodding around the map with these first couple of stalkers, looking for any sort of small pickoff that he can get. But just from the fact that CLEM is not out on the map will allow SHOWTIME to feel safe enough to drop that double forge and just start his upgrades very, very soon. Stalkers just going for the soft contain, but they are not going to be ready for this. Stim is about to complete. But keep in mind, there are no medevacs with this army moving out, and already some very nice pickoffs on those Stalkers, getting some of those Marines, weakening others, trying to fight in the shade right there, but it's not going to work for him. Almost losing one of those Stalkers for free. Got to be careful not to lose too much health off of these guys. And even then, it looks like CLEM is just going to be staying back until those medevacs come in. As a +1 charge. Additional gateways, he's going to need them pretty soon. I gotta admit, I don't really like how defensive CLEM is being. I feel like the Opus is always on the Terran player to get a little bit of work done in order to kind of keep yourself safe. But he does have a very scary army supply right now, and let's see what he can do with it. He's gonna try and come straight up to the third base, seize the sentries. Oh, so you have to be so careful not to get caught by those force fields. There we go, moving his way forward, trying to snipe that Immortal. Hot pickup, gets a couple of those Marines out of there. But, you know, as time goes on, Showtime will be able to warp in more and more units to help defend. He does have that one High Templar in the back as well for the Storms. But, you know, that's going to be a little bit of time before that is complete. Looks like the Stalkers are going to be making their way up here to the main base to prevent any sort of cheeky shenanigans. As those Zealots just not wanting to die with their upgrade advantage. There are so many Zealots with this as CLEM trying to look for another angle to move in. Action almost everywhere on Showtime's bases, but oh, a little bit of a mistake there, not adding those units back to the fight. So CLEM getting cleaned up on both sides. CLEM's still looking for these angles to come into. However, he wants to be able to take the fight. He's trying to force it, but now with Storm, you can't fight into these choke points. So we see him just pick up and try and reposition. There is an observer at the top, so Showtime will be able to bring himself back to this third base. Gotta be careful about those Zealots as well. I don't want to lose too many of them. The shield battery is running out of energy, but he still has an overcharge available to him. Plenty of Storms in the back of that Warp Prism as well, just waiting to go off. But once again, CLEM, he still has this very scary army count, but taking a look at his production. He's getting +2. Yes, that's okay. That's good. But where are the Ghosts? Where are the Vikings for the next big transition? Where's the tech units that you really need to push your way through this? That's one of the big reasons that he's not really taking the best engagements that he can. Because, you know, he's getting rid of the Zealots, but that's about all that he's killing. The Immortals in the back are still alive. The Stalkers are staying strong. Looks like there was a little bit of a Widow Mine drop back here. No dice on it. I think about the most that he can do. Okay, a little bit more damage over there, but he's still being forced back in the top. Gets the War Prism, though, full of two High Templars. That was really good, and now the Stalkers are not in position to stop this drop. So now the Zealots are going to be trying to force it back, just buying him some time, but on the other side of CLEM just looking to overwhelm his opponent. The shield battery has been popped, and there's just not enough Stalkers in the main base. forcing the recall on what is left, but there's not really that many units to recall. So while Showtime, he's quote-unquote defending, he's taking more and more damage each and every single time. Even getting some more High Templars is like, it's what he needs, but he really just needs more potent splash damage. Those Widow Mines as well in the front, just doing what they can to zone him out, keep him close to his own base. Feedback's gonna go down. That's about all he has before they morph into Orcons. But now CLEM, with a 60 army supply lead, will push his way forward. Once again, getting forced back, though, by that shield battery overcharge. So the big problem for CLEM is, once again, he's only just now adding on those Liberators. The Widow Mines, they're still doing their job, but they're not really getting the connections that he needs. Scan gonna go down, get rid of that Observer. Very, very nice. But now there's Colossus on the field. Already some decent splashes going down on the bio, but here we go. The Liberators coming on in, zoning themselves up. The High Templar goes down before he can get any shots off. Now the Zealots are doing what they can, but they are getting really low health. One big Widow Mine splash right there, and I think CLEM dropping his opponent below 100 supply will do it for game number 1. GG. Fantastic start for the young Frenchman there. As a Showtime just really starting to get overwhelmed by the end of that one. Now, he didn't play poorly. It just seemed like he was a little bit slow on his transitions. And versus CLEM especially, you cannot afford to do that. Who won with Inno versus DRG? Innovation pulled off the reverse all sweep. It was a really fun game, but really short. Like, you know, I was expecting some 25, 30-minute game when they gave me those replays between those two, but you know what? Short games can be nice, too. Let's see how short or long this one will go. As spawning up here in the top position, give it up for Showtime. And his opponent, down here in the bottom, he is CLEM. Alright, nothing too crazy. All buildings are where they are supposed to be. Never fear. Or maybe fear if you were looking for some cheese that you could steal and put onto ladder. But it looks like Showtime is just going to be pretty content to get that first little bit of a scout with the probe. He will maybe try and deny the natural CC. Yeah, there you go. CLEM just trying to hunt that guy down so he doesn't get too far gone. Back at home, the Nexus has started. All standard. All is right with the world. That probe. Hey, you're not back home. You're in a sneaky position. Okay. He's just gonna go back in. Or is he? See, CLEM is such a greedy young man. going straight up to that third CC without even getting his factory started. That is a very risky move for him versus Showtime, who has shown that he is preferring the Twilight Council builds in this series. Obviously, Twilight Council is known for aggression, and if he really caught wind of the fact that that is 3 CCs early on, then I'm sure that he would kind of smell that blood in the water and just pull out and try and go kill his opponent very, very quickly. Once again, it looks like Clem is favoring getting that second ranks as well. So a very modified 2-1-1 opening. Obviously, 2-1-1 is one of the best TVZ builds that has ever been made. I know people will disagree with that, but I certainly love it too much to be swayed. But I have seen some different variations of it being used against Protoss effectively, and that's kind of what forced Protoss to be a bit more fast with their transitions. I'm losing my English here. Like, no English after 9 p.m. That's my law. But yeah, just with the rise of faster RoboBase, faster Stargate openings, faster blink timings, 2-1-1 definitely has fallen out of favor in this matchup specifically. And as we see, Clem is once again just going to stay back, stay a little bit defensive while he builds up that very scary pushing army. The problem with that army, if you don't kill your opponent soon, he's going to have all those tools that we saw Showtime get up to. And this time, you might not be as lucky. Fleeg 080808. Thank you so much for the subscription, my man. You are saving esports. And you know what? Showtime is trying to save his win rate here. This is exactly what I was talking about. This build is not going to be the best versus this big Blinken for Showtime. Focus firing down some of that orbital, but he wants to get on top of that stim. Once that gets done, a hold is much more possible. But already going to get a couple of those SCVs. Gets a kill on the starport. That's a very good start, and it looks like he will just miss stim by a few seconds. That makes it a little bit more risky for him, but he is still very, very entrenched in this position. Might even get the factory if he wants to focus fire that down. He did. Now, keep in mind, he did have that Guardian Shield available to him, which is making a world of difference in this fight. And even though he's starting to get cleaned up here, the SCVs being pulled, the 21 of them dying, that was a very, very worthwhile trade for Showtime, and he is nowhere near done yet. Even gonna get the factory, so anything Clem was preparing for has gone completely out the window. He is just struggling to survive right now. Looks like he did get an additional Stargate or Starport. I don't know when that went up, but yeah, he's definitely going to be needing the medevacs as every single stim is signing his death warrant further and further without them. Now pulling away a good chunk of that bio to the backfield with that War Prism. He's going to come in here. Some good Blink Micro back. Going to save all of these Stalkers. And now Scan goes down. The transition into Colossus is fully underway. Showtime has given himself such a beautiful position here. Oh, that was terrifying. The Marauder death sound can be quite cruel. As we see now, Showtime is getting pushed back a little bit, but he can afford to just slow Clem down even further. Get those pickoffs and prevent him from going across the map. That is a lot of Marauders. You don't really want to fight into that anymore with the number of Stalkers that you have. This is pretty much just like a shark situation in water, but it's more like the end of Jaws, where the shark has a big canister of gas in its mouth, and so the shark's trying to kill you, but at the same time you can just tell it to smile and you know, get the girl in the end. Still looking for a little bit of room. Again, this is just to keep Clem at home while he builds up that Colossus count, gets those additional gateways. Starting to bleed out quite a few of these Stalkers, however. If we kind of take a look at the units lost, he's already lost 23 of them in this game. But for everything that he's gotten for it, I would say that's definitely worth it. He is a little bit out of position, however, so these upgrades might come under threat. I think Clem might want to focus fire those down, gets one of the pylons, but the army does get back in time to save everything else. And Clem will just retreat with a majority of his forces, get a quick cancel on the 4th base location. And now it's Clem's turn to try and strike. Yeah, I don't know if 4 Stalkers is enough there, honestly. You might be able to get 1 medevac. But, there we go. A couple of Zealots going to be coming on in. Looking for a little bit more work. Just distracting Clem as much as possible. The main engagement has started, but a big medevac snipe right there. That was almost full. Will push Clem further and further behind. Looks like he hasn't even really been able to clean this up, meaning that 10 workers have gone down. The Stalkers will force this away as well. So Clem, you know, he's going for the same composition again. But this time, Showtime is doing a much better job of stopping it. Though looking to eye up that main base. He's got a big drop ready to go while the main force is going to distract almost everything over here in the top right. I'm a little bit worried about how much Showtime has over there, but hold that thought because the Stalkers are not enough. Another big warp in of Zealot's going to be going into Clem's main base. And here we go. He's going to stem his way forward to Guardian Shield, doing wonders, but even that will fall. Shield Battery Overcharge being popped does mean that he will be able to get back in time, and now the main base, you know, it's still getting something done. It's cleaning up a lot of these Stalkers, which at this point in the game, you do not want to be replacing. Even just going to find himself a little bit of an angle to get on top of that mineral line before backing on out. So now, what does Clem really have? Yes, he does have that army supply advantage right now. But it's just pure Marine Marauder versus this. We see Showtime. He's already got his +3 upgrades started. Did he start Storm? He did not, but he will still have Archons available to him with no ghosts to stop it. Getting a little bit of a delay on that forge is pretty nice. But here we go. There's not really a whole lot here. A decent connection from that disruptor going to force this behind. And Clem's just got to find a little bit of an angle for him to push into. Still going to keep this out here. Couple Marauders. Nice, nice. But now Showtime, he's got disruptors on the field, meaning that you're going to have perfect splits to get up that ramp. One disruptor is enough to turn the tide of the game into anyone's favor. Scan going to go down on the fourth base, trying to find some of that army. But here we go. Showtime is just going to pounce on top of this. The Zealots not really getting connections with the army. They will start to fall. But now Clem is getting pushed further and further back. As we do see a small run by, gonna get cleaned up by the reinforcement, and now the medevac gonna be coming in as well. Clem just trying to pull Showtime's attention everywhere that he can. The War Prism getting pushed away as well. As here we go, Clem is about to get surrounded in the worst way, forces a pickup. What is it with Protoss players in killing their own Zealots? I know they're expendable. I know they're only gas units, but still, you know, you kind of need them. Now Showtime is fully maxed out. He doesn't really have a lot of splash with this, just a couple of Archons. It's primarily gateway units here. But it looks like Clem gonna be looking for the fight any way he can. He does have Vikings now. What was he shooting at? Was he shooting at the Observer? Yeah, he was, and did not get it. But now trying to fight into a pretty big choke point. Those disruptors moving forward, but not going off just yet. Oh, this is risky for both sides, honestly. Stalkers just inching their way forward to keep up with the Vikings. As we see, oh no, Showtime might actually get surrounded here if he's not careful. You don't want to leave your retreat cut off, but here we go. A couple of good EMPs going to get rid of some of those Archons to start things off, while the Colossus are absolutely getting rinsed. The Disruptors do get a couple of shots, forcing the main army back, but now the Liberators have come to bear. And we see Showtime going to take that advantage of the sieged up Clem, go straight into the fourth base. That is a planetary, but that still should go down. But now the question is, will Showtime be able to retreat? He's using the disruptors to do his best. Might get a okay connection right there. He does. But still, the Liberators are forcing him back. Both sides' supply are plummeting. But without the Colossus, without the Archons, the Zealots not going to be enough to force this back entirely. And as that Warp Prism falls, Showtime is full-on retreating. He's got that one Disruptor available to him. He still doesn't have Storm, but he has those +3 upgrades, which Clem will not have for another minute or so. He's got the factory hanging up there as well, sending a couple of Liberators. There is no Photon Cannon, so he will be able to get a little bit done here. Although Showtime doing a really good job of pulling back his probes. All right, there you go. Focus firing that Disruptor again. Some good EMPs all over those Archons. And now Clem is cut off from his reinforcements, but it doesn't even matter. He's going to be able to push this back once again. We are at the 17, 18-minute mark. And this has been a completely action-packed game. I am very impressed with these guys and their stamina for playing this one out. Keep in mind, though, those Liberators do not have range anytime soon. So you will have to move them a little bit further forward, making them a little bit more exposed. And Showtime is just going to take that opportunity to dive on top of this. The Disruptor almost killing his own Zealots once again. But Clem, after a rough start, is still keeping this aggression up very, very well. Oh my goodness. One day. Maybe one day, buddy. Getting one Marauder. Second shot gonna go off, just allowing him to retreat. The DT is going unseen. There are no missile turrets in that fourth base whatsoever. Well, it looks like Showtime is just going back and forth, looking for an angle for him to make his way in. Getting 7 kills right there. That is the very best way to do it. Very low committal as well to send those Dark Templars in. Here we go, though. Showtime finds this base completely unfazed. Clem decides, you know what? 2 can play at the base sniping game. 21 workers go down. But at this point, I think Clem is just going to be looking to close his side out as quickly as he possibly can. And Showtime a little bit faster on the base rate, but you know what they say, never base rate a Terran unless you know you can win. And with both sides in each other's natural, the EMP going to go down, revealing the DTs, and the production is exposed. Looks like the siege up on the ramp for the Liberator is going to save these units for as long as possible, as Clem just deciding to go straight for the economy. Not going to go into the main base just yet, and I feel like that is the right call. That's definitely an easy way to lose the game, just getting caught out in the main base. But a recall is used for a good chunk of this army now. And will it be enough is the big question. EMP's blanketing the Stalkers. The Archons bringing up the rear. Looks like Clem might have just a little bit too much, but that shield body overcharge is powered up and crushing through, and now it's not so clear for him. Showtime has a bank, and I'm sure he's gotten a probe or 2 out. He's hiding a couple of disruptors. Can you believe this is only game number 2? We get to see more of this. Now it looks like Clem will get surrounded, but Showtime's army is not fighting in tandem, which is going to allow Clem to escape, get right on top of the Colossus. And now it's a couple of Archons and a bunch of Stalkers. And I think these Marauders are like a kid on Christmas seeing that, because they can fight that all day. The SCVs, however, Cannot. So now, what does Showtime really have? Both sides are down below 100 supply. It looks like Showtime's just going to go for one big Hail Mary, but again, he doesn't really have anything other than gateway units. And from here, they don't scale as well as these chunky Marauders and the Bio. Looks like Showtime is just going to try and defend this forward location. This is kind of his last bastion here. The Ghost pulling forward, waiting for the opportunity to get the EMPs down. First getting the Stalkers, then getting the Archons. I don't think necessarily Showtime has enough to clean this up, and that is going to be it. As the last couple of Warpins making their way to the battlefield. One more DT. A couple of additional cannons. He will have overcharge available, which will pull Clem back for just a second. But he doesn't really need to fight here at any point. He's still got this orbital over here. Actually, wait a second. Is that his only orbital? Oh, that's his only base. Oh, that makes it so much worse because now Showtime can actually just dunk DTs in there. And you're going to have to rely on the EMPs to get rid of them. Shield battery overcharge is done, however, so these cannons are not going to be a threat to him anymore. Shadow Stride coming down. He's got to focus fire down these Ghosts. And he will save all three of them. Very good start there. Stalker's moving a little bit too far forward. And what I thought was a very clear-cut victory is not as clear as it seems, Kylaris. But now here comes the mobility of the Terran player, and this is why you do not base race a Terran, because they can just pick up and move anywhere on the map to find you. The DT going to be looking for some damage in. There is one scan available. The DT does get out of it, but there are still a couple of EMPs building up. All right, nice so far. If he can force out a couple more scans like that. Okay. I thought it was a pretty bad situation for Showtime, but honestly, with everything that's going on right now, he's up 28 workers, and I think Clem is the one starting to run out of steam. He lost his window of attack there. Although, gotta say, I'm big props to him for getting those DTs. Almost getting the swipe. Yeah, there you go. Looks like Clem has had enough. What a scrappy game. I love that kind of StarCraft too. It's so much better than most other forms, and that's why I love the European and North American scenes, because you get those super scrappy games. And you know what? These guys are not done by any stretch of the imagination. We are hopping into game number 3. Spawning up here in the top position. I believe he just jumped on a new team, introducing the Shopify Rebellions. Showtime. And his opponent down here in the bottom, checking out the Frenchman, Team Liquid's Clem. You know what? I think Wardy was talking about this when this one was live. Just having the polar bear with his tongue stuck out, waiting for a little bit of Coca-Cola. Hashtag not sponsored. But I guess the confusion is how you pronounce Clem's his clan tag. I think Wardy was saying it was like Lim, which is one way to do it. I like to think of it as Mlem. A little bit more defined. This guy's a man now. He is the age where he can start drinking in France. So you know what? I think he would want it to be a manly Mlem, not just a little kid Mlem. Showtime, however, is just going to be hanging out, denying that CC for as long as possible before jumping back home. And, you know, Clem will be getting the Reaper, getting a little bit of scouting information. I think especially on a map like this, where you just have rocks literally everywhere. It's super important to get that scout out on the map to avoid a potential proxy situation. So yeah, there are so many places that you can see, just the dirtiest places where you just wouldn't go unless you were expecting it. Now, Showtime, to his credit, is going to be mixing things up as well, going to be going straight into Stargate play. And I like that. Clem kind of realizing that lightning won't strike a third time, so he's just going for a much more normal, I'd like to say, opening. Yeah, that's kind of how this is shaping up. It probably won't really pop off for another minute or so. Obviously, the Reaper going to have to micro his heart out against the Adept who can 3-shot him. But here we go. Oracle going to be on the way. Not going to be anything too crazy like Void Rays. Here we go. One of the scariest things is a Hellion when the wall is not complete. The Reaper going to be coming in. Will get that full scout off, but I mean, the Oracle is already out. I hope he did recognize that it's Phoenix, because that is a pretty important detail to see. Looks like he's just kind of prepping up for his own build of a Widowmine drop. You know what? It's kind of funny, because the way I see it, I feel like whenever a Protoss player is going for a Stargate build, the Terran is almost like 90% of the time going for a Widowmine drop. I know it's a standard build order, but at the same time, it always feels like it only comes when your opponent's going Stargate. That's still at home. Yeah, after getting Revelation, that would be pretty silly to send that medevac out. As we do see the Phoenix going to be coming in looking for a cheeky pickoff, but there is a Cyclone. There is that one Viking. And, you know, Showtime is not going to be investing too heavily into these Phoenix. They are pretty expensive early on, but after you get about 4 to 5 of them, it's just that transition into Twilight Council, getting charge up, maybe even dropping down the Robo facility in order to get Colossus going down. I think that's kind of the reason behind the power of these Phoenix, is because obviously Clem can't necessarily move out at any point. He can't send any drops around the map, and he can't. He's not really super duper safe. There it is. I was wondering where that Widow mine was. Oh no, bunker is gone. Usually you only see that bunker drop when CLEM is getting ready to go for an attack. Did you guys see that very quick glance by that Oracle? I know it was just a unit doing its thing, but it really looked like it was like, wait, what? On that Hellion. As a lower league player, yes. As a super high level player, probably not, because missile turrets can be expensive. But in the lower leagues, getting static defense is pretty good because, I mean, not enough low leaguers do it. I'm pretty low league myself, and just getting a couple of missile turrets, you would not believe the number of war prisms I have killed while looking on the other side of the map. Just because I had 1 or 2 missile turrets there. Now CLEM sees the charge. SHOWTIME just kind of getting ready with that small little run by coming on down. The Oracle as well just going to get a revelation on these first couple of ones as CLEM is moving out. That's going to be the trigger for SHOWTIME to move in. The Widow Mine's getting caught. As a couple of Phoenix. Just going to get one little pick off the Zealot's going to run into a couple of Marines, but I think they're going to be pretty happy to kill those. SHOWTIME still has that supply lead, and he does still have the Oracle alive, so he's going to be able to keep full tabs on this army. That is so many Zealots. How many Zealots does he have? He's got more Zealots than there are Marines on the field. But here we go. The Widow Mines did get out of their icy prison. Unfortunately, not fast enough to get cleaned up by that disruptor. As we see a little bit of a medevac drop coming in, but that will get cleaned up. As neither side really pulling the trigger on this one. Some good split on that disruptor. Not going to get any damage in. But SHOWTIME just slowly pushing his way out the ramp. Will take one big Widow Mine connection. And taking a look at the upgrades, actually. +2 is only just now started for both sides. And I think that's going to come into a lot of things because SHOWTIME can chrono boost out his in order to stay ahead. One good shot, but it will lose the other Widow Mine as CLEM is maxed out. He does have another big army. Gonna get a kill on that 4th base. The Phoenix just trying to keep this away, but double Doom drops coming down. This one more of a distraction than anything as the rest of the army is in the main base. He has to leave quite a few units behind. I would have liked to see him kind of bait those Phoenix into the Widow Mines, but I digress on that as this drop, it's not on top of the probe line just yet, but already getting 11 kills on that 3rd. Might even get a cancel on that +2 attack. Not focus firing it down. Oh, there you go. There you go. That was a beautiful play there by CLEM. Unfortunately, it's something that I don't think works twice but he is still soft containing Showtime. Unfortunately, losing a lot of his Widow Mines, though. I think one of them got a good connection against the Zealots. Does he have a shield battery? He does have a shield battery overcharge available to him as well. And so getting up these ramps is a very tall order for him. They come in once again. A good split. Not able to save the Widow Mines. I feel like this would be a little bit better for him if he did have that drilling clause to kind of allow him to reposition a little bit easier. Did he get all the Phoenix? He did. Beautiful. So that does open up the ability for him to get into the main base again if he so chooses. This Observer, though, going to see absolutely everything. And for CLEM, what does he have coming up? He's got Liberators on the way. A little bit of a late transition into that. He's just starting his Ghost Academy to deal with the Archons. And he will be getting Liberator range with that Fusion Core. But, oh, no, that Disruptor getting a much better connection. Pulling back some of that supply lead, but CLEM is still maxed out, and he is still pushing. Getting deflected on this side. Just trying to pull Showtime's attention away. I mean, he's getting some okay trades. He's getting rid of a lot of these Zealots for almost free, but he wants to start getting on top of those Disruptors. Those are the big money items for Showtime. Beautiful hit right there. If he can clean up this angle, then that's going to allow him to do much better. But the Zealot run by is starting to pull away a bunch of his reinforcements, so this position is just going to get weaker and weaker if he's not careful. I feel like from here, you might want to pull back. You do have that supply lead, so you don't have to fully take these engagements. You're also up in terms of those upgrades. You snipe that +2, so that's not going to be around for a long time. These units, look at them. They're really not doing a lot of damage. But if you just continuously get cleaned up, like over here, it looks like a... Let's actually see what happened there. That's the beauty of replays. A couple Disruptors coming on over, and it was a big connection. First one goes off, second one goes down, but it's this one. Oh my goodness, that is the one that broke the straw, that broke the camel's back. As CLEM is cleaned up on one side, and now Showtime can focus his attention all the way over here. CLEM overstayed his welcome. Don't pass go, don't collect $200 in this hotel. Inching forward, gets one Marauder. CLEM is still maxed out, almost. Gearing up for this deadly Doom drop. Oh my goodness. Now the Stalkers do kind of catch wind of it, so he will be going, sending a couple of those home. But here we go with the addition of the Liberators. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a very tough position for him to break through, and this is a lot of tech that has the potential to go down. That level 3 ground armor, if he focus fires that would be beautiful. A decent connection on that first Disruptor, and just slowly pushing CLEM back to his Liberator line. +3 does complete, and there are no ghosts to deal with this, but Showtime taps out, and CLEM will go up to match point in this series. Get ready, guys. Because if CLEM plays it like he did in that one, then we are in for a very, very good game. Showtime, you know, he's struggling a little bit. But let's see if he can pull it back. Spawning up here in the top position of Lightshade. for map number 4. Give it up for Showtime. And his opponent down here in the bottom, the young Frenchman, CLEM. So it looks like all the buildings are in the right place. That is a very, very good start. As it does mean that we are going to be going into either an all-in or a late game or a macro game. It doesn't matter. Like I don't think either of these guys are really gonna fall for any sort of cheesy shenanigans. And like I was saying, this is a game where we're going to see the better player win, almost outright. Now, Showtime is going to come in here, get a little bit of a scout. Does he go for the Reaper? He does. So just playing it very safe with that. Just going to get a little bit more information, count the number of pylons, make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. And to Showtime's credit, he doesn't really have anything out on the map either. First unit, gonna be Adept. That almost tells me, okay, it's gonna be Twilight Council because he's getting the Sentry coming on up. Hey Zogern, how are you doing tonight? Really good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Clem just gonna be dancing around with this first Reaper. I think he would love to see that Sentry popping. After seeing that, after seeing the Twilight Council going down, this Reaper has paid for itself, and so he can send this back home. Remember, last time Showtime did this, he was very, very aggressive, and it did not bode well for Clem. This time, Clem is going for a more normal build. Last time, he obviously did have that really weird 3cc opening. So he might be able to defend a little bit easier as long as he keeps these Widow Mines in a decent position. I'm just getting in there with a little bit of a scout. Sees that it is Widow Mine coming on in, just barely out of range. That is so totally in range. Well, it is now. But now Blink is on the way. He's going up to that 3rd CC. He's kind of sold that, hey, I'm gonna be aggressive. So he's gonna be able to just get up to that 3rd Nexus. I don't think Clem is gonna really be moving out anytime soon. Probably just expecting that bit of a timing to come his way. As we do see these Widow Mines coming in. The Stalkers are not in position. They do not have Blink. But now that they are here, he is forced back. Oh, but that is a little bit of a feint because there is 2 more Widow Mines just waiting outside the 3rd base. I don't necessarily think that this is Dream's patented drop Widow Mines until my opponent gives up strategy. I think instead, this is just a little bit of light pressure, and CLEM a little bit slow on the reaction to drop those Widow Mines, but SHOWTIME a little bit slow on the pull, but just barely gets away there. The next couple of Widow Mines do go down. SHOWTIME really late on the pull, but he will be able to pull away, so only losing about 6 workers. Oh, that could have been so bad for SHOWTIME, but he minimizes the damage as much as possible. Charge is on the way, however. 6, count them, 6 gateways and sentries, warp prism, probes, everything that a good little Protoss player would want against a 2-base Terran. And I mean, CLEM, he still has not thrown down a 3rd at all. So while that does mean he will have a higher army supply, it's one that can get picked off pretty easy if he's not careful. A bit of a warp prism coming across, just trying to pull CLEM's attention away. Stim just completes. The stalkers are a little bit out of position. Scan gonna go down, revealing, yeah, don't go up that ramp. It's a bad idea. As the SCVs are starting to fall, they are pulled to help defend. Even gonna get out of there with a majority of those zealots, I feel, but never mind. He's just gonna use them to tank into the SCVs. Beautiful connections right there. You do see the Widow Mines did come in, get 3 kills for their efforts. Might save one of them, but it's not really going to be able to drop. And now CLEM, I mean, he's still pressuring, quote unquote, but he can't really push in here with that many sentries. I'm gonna rotate around looking for that prism. He does find it. SHOWTIME is paying attention. Will almost save it. Oh no, but CLEM is gonna get caught with a lot of his army not together because of that. And SHOWTIME gonna be pushing out a little bit closer to home. He got it, didn't he? Yeah, he got it. But at what cost? Couple of force fields they do miss, so the Marauders will escape as, you know, both sides just kind of trying to exhume map presence, force their opponent into an uncomfortable situation. But I think as time goes on, SHOWTIME will have the better army. In terms of upgrades, still relatively equal. They're going to finish at the same time, roughly. But, yeah, just trying to, CLEM's trying to force the engagement while SHOWTIME is actively trying to avoid it. Going for these pickoffs instead with this just very large gateway army. Loses the prism for the reinforcement point, however. A couple of force fields, not really a lot of energy for it since Guardian Shield is popped. And while SHOWTIME, he has a very scary army right now. The problem is he doesn't really have a ton of splash. He's only got a couple of Archons, a ton of Stalkers, and the Zealots are trying to fight in these little bits of choke points, so he's starting to get cleaned up. Yeah, you gotta fight in these very open spots to make it work. There's a lot of healing energy with this army, though, for CLEM. And you can kind of see in all of these engagements, CLEM just gets further and further ahead in terms of that supply lead. But what does CLEM not have? He doesn't have that fourth base. He doesn't have his +2 upgrades coming in. He only has Marine Marauder coming out, while Showtime is teching very heavily up into Storm, +2 armor, etc., etc. And I gotta say, he's doing a pretty good job of kind of deflecting this from CLEM. Yeah, again, CLEM, you got to start those upgrades soon, my man. Like, you desperately, desperately, desperately need them. Thank you. At least +1. Probably just waiting for enough gas to get +2. But once again, a little smattering of Zealot's going to get right on top of the mineral line, pick off some of the reinforcements before getting cleaned. A big engagement going down here, but a good concave by Showtime, and CLEM is forced to retreat. Getting a bunch of these Stalkers, though, for his troubles. And now he is bringing the rest of his army down to help defend. The War Prism going to be going in again, just trying to deny any sort of defense here from CLEM. Good hit, but still going to get off. Fighting in the choke point, very smart. Widowmines 3 kills apiece. And now very late going up to that Ghost Academy. We have had Storm for a long, long time. So those High Templars have started to build up quite a bit of energy, and they won't have any MPs to stop them. Although his army is completely out of position right now. He can just snipe the Nexus and get out of there. Even Shield Battery Overcharge not going to be enough. Final kill on the War Prism. But for losing that Nexus, he's already got his next one heading up here in the top. So a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole for CLEM. We got the Colossus coming on out. Looks like the upgrades are starting to even up because Showtime has not started +3 at all. Yeah, even going up to only 1 forge to save some of that gas. He's going very heavily into the storms, I feel. But here we go. First big storm. Gonna blanket this army. The Archon, though, coming a little bit too far forward. That High Templar barely manages to get his off before having to retreat. The Widowmines trying to be tanked into this army for a little bit of friendly fire damage. But CLEM starting to fall in terms of that supply, fighting in the choke point to mitigate the damage. You cannot let those Zealots die, buddy. You still want to be using your minerals somewhere else. Now CLEM, his army is definitely not the threat that it used to be, but now it does have plenty of ghosts to help out. No Vikings for that Colossus count, though. I did see one medevac. Yeah, a couple of Widow Mines just waiting to go. This one Widow Mine hanging out down here as well. It's a veritable minefield for CLEM, but here we go. Once again, going to try and do a bit of a fighting retreat. The Storms are pretty good, taking out a lot of the Marines. The Archons did all get EMP'd, so a couple of them will go down, but the Liberator will fall. And CLEM, once again, falling in terms of that supply, but on the retreat, it's a very Pyrrhic victory for Showtime. He just can't finish the game out. He can't counterattack because of all the damage his army's taking. He impeded his own medevacs. You know what? That actually used to be a legit strat. If you look up, I think it was a Pult versus Classic game. Way back on Vanny Research Station, he was going in for an attack, a Doom drop, and to stop the feedbacks from the High Templars, which was a lot more powerful back then, he EMP'd his own medevac so that they could actually get in and do work. Speaking of EMP, that first storm not going to go off because of the EMP. The Widow Mines did get in and got about 4 worker kills. So that is always nice in the chaos and confusion. But yeah, that is a little bit too much. Showtime going to be forced back once again into this choke point. Might lose a Colossus or 2 as well. Been bleeding out Archons this entire time. But here we go. CLEM is on a tear right now. There are only these disruptors to save Showtime. One thing to note is that CLEM does have a very heavy army supply lead. He is currently up to about 6 bases to the 5 of Showtime. And he will be getting a little bit of damage done up here. Even just going to go straight for the main base, it looks like. Yeah, I like this. CLEM is just taking advantage of the fact that Showtime's supply is a lot lower and just trying to pull his attention away into multiple locations. The Stalkers clean up the main base, but there's still enough here to at least maybe get a snipe on that Nexus down there, but it looks like he's just going to fight the army straight up, right in range of those shield batteries, which are charged, by the way. Nice, even going to get the photon cannon as the disruptor is forcing this army back. So, really for CLEM, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot, but at the same time, maybe pull your army together. Go for a big engagement rather than all these small hit and runs. Because the thing is, while he's doing little bits of damage here and there, it's damage that Showtime is very easily recovering from. And even then, getting cleaned up that easily just weakens your position a little bit. Yeah, trying to fight here is a very risky proposition with all the disruptors in play. And you can see he's kind of being forced back. Disruptors, one shot will finish, a second one will go down as well. Gets a ghost for its trouble. Will lose quite a few of them. But now the warp-in should be enough to clean up this locale. Yeah, that's just barely not enough for Showtime, or for CLEM rather, to push in there, especially not where storms are concerned. Showtime, though, overextending. This is kind of the game of overextensions from both sides. One side will take a decent fight, a good fight, and then they'll go try and kill their opponent. Doesn't work like that, honestly. Big EMP is going to go down. The Stalkers will start to get cleaned. The Zealots charging straight into the Liberator field. But the minefield is not that scary to Showtime right now. Good split by CLEM. And now one thing for Showtime, he hasn't been able to send those small zealots across the map to kind of poke and prod CLEM, who, by the way, no planetary up here. Yes, there's a planetary up there. But still, that's the most exposed base I've seen in a while. Speaking of exposed, however, looks like Showtime left himself very, very open. Just decided, you know what, I can't fight your army straight up just yet, so I'm going to kill some of your bases, get rid of some of your economy, and then, you know what, maybe I'll just recall home. Or not, because he just recalled those disruptors to save them. Oh, no. Okay. That does mean that this is way more committed of an attack for him. But we are full on in a base race situation now, guys. So what does CLEM need to do? He needs to start picking off the pylons and the Nexi. He knows that there's no recall available, but getting rid of the pylons means there's going to be no additional defensive warpins open to Showtime. It looks like on Showtime's end, he's just going straight for the bases. Heavily supply blocking CLEM. Not necessarily getting a lot of these SCVs, but there you go. Now getting them. But hey, looks like back at home he does have enough to clean this up, as well as get some storms inside that Warp Prism. So kind of take a look at the income for this game. Showtime is just barely ahead, mining 1,000 minerals more. But still, we have quite a few units available. Storms blanketing the army. That third one was a doozy. Welcome to Florida, ladies and gentlemen. As that is going to force CLEM all the way back. He's got to defend this north side. He has to start building up a bank just in case. You can't really rest on your laurels with this army, because slowly but surely Showtime can pick away at it. And as we can kind of see up here, he's going to rotate in. That's a lot of zealots. The heals do not go down. There's actually no storms in the prism anymore. So he will have to back on out. Might want to get these liberators before retreating. Taking a look at the production for both sides. Just a bunch of racks being made to replace what he lost. And on Showtime's side, I think he saved the facility, the bay, didn't he? Okay, he saved the bay, the archive, and the Twilight Council. Good. That's kind of what he needed to save in order to stay alive in this one. Nice, nice. Beautiful storm right there as well. The Stalker's going to be inching their way forward. Sniping a couple of liberators, but he's still fighting underneath it. Oh my goodness. The storms just crushing through the army, but now the Marauders could probably take it if they so choose. A small little handful of Zealots going to try and pick off some of those reinforcements. Coming across as CLEM looking to do a bit of counter damage of his own. That's a good concave for Showtime, however. And there we go. He's going to try and pounce on it. Back up. Realizes don't fight in the liberation zones. The Zealots are starting to go down. There we go. The Liberator goes down. So now he's just going to chase this all the way back. Another beautiful connection on that storm. And a second one. Almost going to kill the army, but doesn't really get too much. This is no longer a planetary, however, so it is very, very exposed for CLEM. And defending this is going to be the catalyst for him to stay in this game. If you lose this base, you're pretty much done, because Showtime will slowly whittle you apart. Now the Archon in the front does go down. 11 workers on the pull. The Disruptor forcing a lot of Clem's army back, but a really good split. Going to save it. Starting to run out of minerals in some places. Honestly, he doesn't need minerals as much as he needs gas. You know, he's got to replace the Marauders. He's got to get more ghosts. He's just got to get almost everything gas related. But he will get this base. That is very good. Very nice. As Showtime supply is starting to plummet here. Let's just take a look at what's been lost in this game. 38k to 43. So Clem is getting a little bit better of these engagements. And honestly, you know, I'm liking his position just a little bit better. Gonna go over the army again. The splits are good, but they were a little bit late to deal with those storms. And now a beautiful Disruptor connection right there, going to clean a house. And we see a couple of more High Templars being morphed in. He desperately needs them in order to defend that Liberator, doing what he can. But the Stalkers down there will shoo that away. So once again, the supplies have equalized. Looks like he got rid of the Liberator scan. Gonna go down, revealing what is almost one of the last mining bases of Showtime. He cannot afford necessarily to throw down another one, because if he does, Clem is gonna snipe it and he's gonna be out 400 minerals. The pre-splits are pretty good. The hit doesn't get too much there. But now comes the time for guerrilla warfare. There was a time when I didn't think that was going to be the best option for him, but now I think you just got to go around with those medevacs, and you've got to get the snipes on these bases. Get rid of some of that tech. Oh, thank goodness that Disruptors can't hurt each other, huh? But here we go, forcing the engagement. Once again, the Widowmine doesn't get its shot off before it's killed. Clem doesn't really have a lot to fight here. No ghosts with this army either. So it's just going to be a straight up brawl. We are in another scrappy game. Showtime a little bit stuck. He's going to have to recall, but how much is he going to have to leave behind if he does so? Yeah, there's plenty to go, and it looks like he's just going to say, to heck with it. I'm going to jump on top of this, force you back so that I can escape. Maybe going a little bit too far forward, as Clem is fighting in a very decent choke point now, so those Zealots won't really have a lot of room to breathe. Widowmine's in the back, going to get a couple of Stalkers for their trouble. Gets that CC, but that's not the mining CC. Funnily enough, usually when we get to this point in the game, the bases are starting to almost be mined out. But just because all these snipes have happened, there are still so many minerals available to these guys. Looks like the storm's going to blanket the army of Clem once again, however. And now some good splits, just going to make sure that he doesn't lose too much of the Disruptors. He already lost 18 workers, but at this point, who cares? 33 to 36. And he's going to get all these high-tech units of Showtime dead in the water. Oh, it's coming down to just these High Templars. He doesn't have the economy to build up anything else. In fact, neither side really has an economy, so every unit is going to count from this point forward. And I feel like in that situation, Clem is just better off. Protoss units are very expensive. He's going to need a bunch of storms to actually land because those Marauders on +3, they can weather the storm. They have their ponchos ready to go. And you know what? Showtime doesn't have one big tool available to him. He just doesn't have any DTs. As well, losing all of those storms means he's going to have to fully retreat, leaving a couple of zealots to their fate. There we go. This is about all he can really afford to send is these 4 zealots, and even then that's very expensive for him. Supplies still relatively equaled out. Still got a couple of mineral patches here. He's still got enough minerals here, but that's pretty much it for him. What tourney is this? This is the ESL Pro Cup EU Finals. So this is the one that just happened. I think Rotterdam was in this game. A couple of other people were watching it. I can't remember what date it was, though. Yeah, Showtime, you're going to have to cancel that. Like, that is going to be a very tricky position to secure. As, you know, Clem is right on top of him. Feedback's going to go down, trying to save the ghosts. But that will fall. And Clem is forced back once again, but he gets the cancel. Good. In terms of Clem's mining, he's did. Okay, how many observers are out on the field? 1, 2, and 3. You snipe those Widow Mines will win you the game, like outright. Losing your ghost, however, is how you will lose the game. The ESL, this is from the ESL Pro Cup 61. This is the final match, as storms are going to be blanketing Clem's army once again. And getting a lot of it. Just that's really all that's keeping Showtime in this game is these beautiful storms. As the Marauders, the reinforcement's going to be coming in. Might get that last disruptor. He is building another one in the back, but that's not going to be out for another minute or so. I feel like Clem, he's trying to fight in the front, but he doesn't need to. At this point, go for the main base. Snipe off these gateways. Put a little pressure on the front to keep the units here. But you don't really need to fight here. I'm just gonna put it in the chat in case someone wants to know. But yep, Clem gonna be moving forward with the ghost once again. He got 6 additional kills on those workers. I think that was this Widow Mine up here. Yeah, exactly. The disruptor gonna be coming out. As Showtime losing a bunch of these High Templar EMP. That was the last one available to him. as he's trying to bring the Marauders forward. There's still a lot of storm energy available to him. Showtime still not mining off of any more bases. Looks like Clem is mined out up here. He's starting to run out of minerals over here. Where's the rest of those SCVs, I wonder? Okay, they're all down here. He's established this position. That's where Showtime was trying to go. So he will just mine that for a while. As the Zealot's going to be coming in, getting a little bit of work, but there is a Widow Mine in position. Now, keep in mind, he did make the DT Shrine, by the way. So, he does have that available to him. Yeah, there it is. And I think that'd be pretty good because there's not that many orbitals left. And really, at this point, you want to be relying on those... You know, on those on those mules rather than worrying about remaking any SCVs. Yeah, these guys are definitely playing a game of inches, but they're trying to take miles is the problem. That's why it's going on for this long. But Showtime. Just gonna break down the rocks, give him a little bit more of an angle to work through. Clem is up about 10 supply. That Ghost has rejuvenated its energy, so it's going to get right on top of those Archons, which are now flying paperweights. We'll lose a couple of them. The Ghost's going to be coming on forward. The Storm energy. He's got maybe 2 or 3 left in him. And honestly, I'm getting really worried for Showtime here. It's like a Mexican standoff, except everyone is actually shooting at each other. Problem is, he did open up that rock path, which, while it might help him, it's also going to hurt him a lot if Clem just decides to move on in and flank him from both sides. Looks like Showtime is going to back up, trying to bait Clem in, but a good scan going to reveal the fact that this army is still close by. It didn't go anywhere. Gets one of the Ghosts on the retreat. Big Disruptor Ball coming in, but that will whiff. He's built up a lot more Storm energy, and here we go. First one going down. Second one, not yet. Just trying to rotate around, and here we go. One Ghost going to be coming into the backfield. The High Templar are exposed. That's a lot of Storm energy gone. He's going to try and go up the ramp. The Disruptor will not get it shot off. The Observer goes down. He does get another Storm off. Just trying to slowly make this a very dangerous advance for Clem, but he's out of energy. You know, he's got 1 Storm left. The Archons will go down. Shield Battery Overcharge, powerful, but not against the burst damage of that Widow Mine. And it looks like Clem dropping Showtime.